There are several ways that metalsmiths use heat to join parts together. Electric welding joins parts by superheating the edges of the parent material until they melt and merge. Because some of the parent material is displaced or lost in the process, a filler material is fed into the weld to replace it, creating a raised bead that is often ground down flush to the surface afterward. Properly welded joints have much of the strength of the parent material and work best on metals such as steel and titanium that conduct heat slowly so that the melting is localized. Fusing is an ancient process that also joins parts by melting the parent material, but in this case the whole piece is brought to within a few degrees of its melting point so that the surfaces melt and, where touching, flow together. Fusing works best on metals such as fine gold and fine silver that resist oxidation and are dense enough to allow the surface to melt without melting the core. Because there's no additional metal involved, fused seams are strong and require little cleanup of the joints, but it takes practice to do it without melting your pieces altogether. Soft soldering uses alloys of tin to glue pieces together. Molten tin is extremely fluid and will wick through joints to form relatively weak but watertight seams. Soft solders melt at low temperatures, around 500 degrees, and are most often applied using a heated iron to melt the solder. This makes it ideal for electronics, stained glass, plumbing, and other situations where precise application of heat is needed to avoid damaging the surrounding material. Soft soldering usually results in a fairly large raised bead, which is left intact to help strengthen the joint. Hard silver soldering, or brazing, uses an alloy of brass or silver to join parts together. These alloys are formulated to melt below the melting point of the parent metal, but above its annealing point, which is the temperature at which the heat has expanded the parent as far as it can without melting it. Because of this, hard silver soldering is usually done on very conductive metals such as copper and silver by heating the parent metal until the solder melts and flows. Molten, these alloys are even more hyperfluid than soft solders, not only wicking through the joints, but actually seeping into the crystal structure of the parent metal. This results in much leaner seams from which all the solder outside the seam can be removed without a significant loss of strength. While not as strong as a welded or fused joint, a hard solder seam is much stronger and cleaner than a soft solder one, and perfectly suited to the scale and craft expectations of jewelry.